I have a college education, but it doesn't mean anything, right? Like, don't let anybody tell you that a college education is going to determine your success, because I've literally probably never even used it. And some of the most successful people that I've met in my life were people that don't have a college education. And often it's because and this is just my opinion, and so people can argue with me on it if they want, but it's sometimes harder to help somebody unlearn what they think is right versus just teaching somebody who's coming straight from, ground zero.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the On the PRST Podcast. On this podcast, we connect with entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, people that actually build something that are on the pursuit of their goal and their dreams. And today's episode, I'm really excited about, because I got a friend of mine on who has been doing amazing things in multiple spaces. He's a co-founder and CEO of a new social media platform that we're going to touch on, Breakout.fm. And he's also the co-founder of Kennected with a K, the #1 automation platform for LinkedIn, which I feel like a lot of people, are people still taking advantage of LinkedIn or what?
Are they still what?
Are they still really utilizing LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, man. There's like over 700, 800 million users on it. So it's a gold mine.
Well, that's good to know. So if you're listening to this and you're not really tapped into LinkedIn, well, this is an episode where you definitely want to get these gems. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Cody Harvey, man. What's up, bro? Welcome to the pod.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on, Brendan. I appreciate you, bro.
100%, man. So we met over a year ago, I would say, maybe 2 years ago at this point.
It was during COVID, I think. It was during COVID.
Yeah, to a mutual friend of ours. It might have been before COVID, actually.
Really?
I think I just signed, I feel like, was it 2019? Maybe?
Yeah, because that's actually right when we launched the LinkedIn automation platform.
Yeah.
In 2019, yeah.
Yeah, so we met through a mutual friend, and I jumped on Kennected early, and I definitely saw that it was definitely a platform that you could utilize to make those connections and really like leverage, get your offers out, build an audience, scale your business, things like that, using traffic and relationships that are already pre-existing on LinkedIn, right?
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about like, what was the idea or the mindset to create, a service like Kennected, and why did you feel like there was a void in the marketplace for it?
Yeah, 100%. So before Kennected, I was actually a partner in 2 different marketing firms. One was mostly organic marketing. The other one was mostly paid. And my job was to figure out how do we continually fill our pipeline up with clients. And, we stumbled across LinkedIn as a really powerful tool to engage and connect with individuals. The problem was it was taking so much of our time because we had to send out all these messages. We had to respond to all these people. We had to collect all their data to do follow-ups. It was a nightmare. So our question was, how could we figure out a way to automate this process? Because the most valuable asset you have as an entrepreneur is your time, right? So I didn't want to be spending my time. My partners didn't want to be spending their time doing all of this legwork. So we automated the process that we found that worked for us, and it worked so well, we gave it to our clients. And then it kind of snowballed. We went from 5 co-founders of that platform to over 130 employees in about a 2-year time frame. So the company blew up, and it's been a fun journey. So that was the reason.
So I hope you guys were listening to what Cody said. Basically, he identified, him and his partners identified a void in the marketplace. They created a solution for it. They tested it out in real time amongst themselves, and then they started giving it to their clients, and it was working. And then obviously they developed a business around that. So how were you able to scale Kennected to the size that it is currently?
Yeah, I think when it comes to scaling any product, the most important thing is, do you have a good product? Does your product actually work, right? And because we were our greatest test case study, right? Like we were our greatest test. So because we could actually show results, like so many people promise you, the moon and the stars and everything and beyond, but at the end of the day, they're not even using their own product. They're not using their own service, right? So because we were seeing so much results with it, we knew exactly how to communicate with potential prospects and say, hey, like, let me just go ahead and show you the results that I had with this. Oh, by the way, the reason why you're on this phone call with us asking about LinkedIn automation is because our software tool targeted you and book the appointment, right? So like nobody could say that it didn't work because they're listening to a pitch from me about the software because the software got them to that point, if that makes sense.
100%, man. That's a gem. I realized there was a product that I was targeted for regarding email marketing, right? The power of email marketing. And he was showing me how not only can you hyper target, but how, a lot of entrepreneurs just don't take advantage of it, let alone even have an email list.
Right.
So he used it on me. We got on the call and we ended up on 2 calls. But to your point, the strategy that he was selling was the case study. It was a social proof because it was easy for him to position it to me because I was on the call as a result of it. So
exactly.
100%, I know exactly what you're talking about. So what one of the questions I want to ask you is about executing. So once you guys realize, okay, there was a void in the marketplace, we have this product or we have this service, I should say, and it's actually working. What then is the strategy to execute so then you're not sitting on it? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs end up not moving forward with an idea because they don't execute. They kind of get in this wheel of like information grabbing, information finding, and then not really applying it to your point, like you said earlier. So what is your mindset around executing and executing fast?
Yeah, so there's 2 things that when it comes to execution. Number 1 is you have to hit the start button, right? So like, let's use this product as an example. You can set up the perfect target audience. You can put together the right messages in the right sequence. You can do all of this work, but if you don't hit the start button for the software to actually start reaching out and perform, like you're dead in the water. You're never going to get anywhere unless you take that first step. And you might have a lot of reservations. You might be scared to get on a demo and talk to somebody that you've never actually talked to. There might be all of these things that are overwhelming and you think, well, what happens if this goes wrong or that goes wrong? But it's all about having multiple at-bats, right? Like you just get better and better and better the more times that you run the system and the more times that you run the play. The second part of execution is coming up with a game plan and preparing, right? So even people who execute and hit the start button, they don't put any thought into what their long-term goal is, right? Like you have to sit down and say, this is where I want to be at a year from now, 9 months from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now. This is where I want to be at tomorrow. Like what are those macro and micro goals that you as an entrepreneur can write out? And the reason for that is what gets measured gets improved, right? And if you don't have goals, you can't measure anything. And the real success of entrepreneurship and scaling a business comes down to being able to identify what's working and what's not working. Because 9 times out of 10, when you first start, you're going to fail. Or something in that system or that process is not going to work out the way that you wanted it to. So you need to be able to adapt and evolve with that, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. I fancy myself an executor. So like if I get information, I implement it. But to your point, I've definitely had moments where, like you said, I'll execute, but the execution doesn't come with a micro and macro strategy. I may pick that up along the way, or I may have picked that up along the way. But obviously, to your point now, I can fully understand how important that is going along with the executing, because you can execute, but if you're not guided by navigation, or if you don't have those targets along the way, you're just moving, but you may be moving much slower than you may have been if you actually had that practical and tactical, like checkpoints and things along the way that you can actually shoot for and plan for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to kind of add to that, if you actually write things down and you find something that's working well for you, now you have the opportunity to identify that and double down on it, right? Because what I tell people is when you find a lane or you find a vertical that's working, you're doing something that's working really well, put all your chips on that until it's not working anymore, right? Because, like you can spread yourself too thin sometimes, right? Like you can have too much breadth and not enough depth. Right. But when you find something that works really well, it's important that you literally go all in on that one thing and then get everything you can out of it. And by writing stuff down, you're able to identify that.
What's up, y'all? It's Brennan Boyd, speaker, productivity coach, and host of the On the Pursuit Podcast, and I want to talk to you all about my brand new book, The 8 Secrets to Success Playbook. Now, this playbook is jam-packed with all sorts of value. So if you're a coach or a consultant or an expert and you're looking to 5x or even 10x your business, you definitely want to grab a copy of this playbook. I'm talking about conversions, lead generation, high ticket offer, continuity offer, the power of speaking, the power of making a book for yourself, promoting, advertising is all in this playbook. So you definitely want to make sure that you grab a copy. Click the link below, get a copy of your playbook, and I'll see you on the other side. So how are you guys able to position Kennected as, a multi 7-figure business time and time over? Did you structure that from the beginning, or was it something that you guys found in the process? You were like, yo, we could really take advantage of where we're going right now. Let's set up ABC. What was the mindset around that?
Yeah. So once we found something that worked really well for us, it was really simple. How do we multiply ourselves? How do we multiply our team? How do we multiply the amount of output that we're doing, right? So if I know I'm reaching out to 100 people per day and I'm getting 40 of those people to connect with me, and out of those 4 people that connect with me, I'm closing 4 of them, right? Because they're resulting in appointments getting booked and demos, so on and so forth. And I'm closing 4 people a day. Then it's just simple math at that point. I say, this is what's working. So now I'm going to go find somebody else that we can bring into the organization that can also book this many appointments, that can get on this many calls, that can close this many deals. And it's literally just rinsing and repeating and multiplying internally what's working. So yeah, we kind of mapped it out from the beginning, and that's why we scaled so fast with the amount of employees, because once we brought on, let's say 5 people, and those 5 people started adding to the bottom line, it gave us the ability to go out and hire 10 people. And then once those 10 people started adding to the bottom line, now we're able to go hire 20 people. And it was just simple scale at that point.
So are we talking about employees, JV partners, affiliates, salespeople? What type of strategies, as far as the people that we're using to leverage and grow, did you guys tap into?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Brendan. In the beginning with us, it was mostly like subcontractors, right? And the reason for that was we were self-funded in the beginning completely by ourselves. So it's not like any of us had that type of bankroll to say, hey, we're going to go hire 5 people with a $80,000 a year salary per person. We didn't have that, and we didn't want to have any debt on the books. So instead, we went out and we found hungry, motivated people that wanted to be a part of something really special. And we made a commitment to them. We said, hey, look, this is what we're planning on building, and we want you to be a part of it. We can't necessarily come out of pocket and pay you a salary, but what we can pay you is a heavy commission. And this is how easy it is to actually sell this product, right? And because we took care of those, we call them the OGs, like our day ones, right? Because we took care of them.
I got a couple of those.
Yeah. Because we took care of them and brought them in internally, they became our biggest advocates and our biggest fans. And eventually, once we got to a point where we could afford it, we ended up putting everybody on a salary base plus commission. So it really comes down to being able to identify and find people that will get behind your vision, right? So I would say, as an entrepreneur, one of the number one things that people need to focus on if they want to be successful is their ability to communicate well, right? Like, you need to be able to communicate to your customers, of course, and you need to be able to communicate what your brand stands for, of course, but you also need to be able to communicate to people on why they need to jump on your bus, right? Like, why they need to jump on your ship and help you grow something. And you got to figure out early on, like, what's in it for them. Nobody wants to join an organization or a company where there's nothing in it for them. They don't want to build your dream. So how can you take what you're building and figure out how that is going to coincide with what that person wants in terms of building their dream?
Man, you pretty much just answered the next question I was going to ask you, which was, just to kind of like, bring it back real quick. If you're a brand new entrepreneur and you have a service-based business or a product-based business, and it's something that people want, you're feeling a void in the marketplace, you're providing a solution. How can you use, or what techniques or strategy would you use to bring other people on that will believe in what you got going on, so that you can multiply at a faster rate? And I think you just said it right there, communicating with them on a higher level and clearly, and giving them something that obviously makes sense for them, right? You guys gave a hefty commission. So if it's 30%, 40%, 50%, and how much was Kennected at the time?
It was $1,500 to start, and then $90 a month.
There you go. So someone's able to get 30% of that, 40% of that, 50% of that for closing 1, 2, 3 sales. That's pretty good in the day.
Yeah, that's real money. Right. I mean, we had guys in their early 20s, 22, 23 years old, making $250,000 a year, literally like not even going to college, right? And I'm a huge, like, I have a college education, but it doesn't mean anything, right? Like, don't let anybody tell you that a college education is going to determine your success, because I've literally probably never even used it. And some of the most successful people that I've met in my life were people that don't have a college education. And often it's because and this is just my opinion, and so people can argue with me on it if they want, but it's sometimes harder to help somebody unlearn what they think is right versus just teaching somebody who's coming straight from, ground zero, like from scratch, right? So we went out and we found a lot of people that they're like, hey man, like I may not know everything, but I'm willing to learn, right? Like, and that was really important for us in identifying the right people to bring on board.
And I think the most powerful thing that if people are not kind of putting it together is that by bringing on other people, it's easy for them because you already did the work. It's like you built the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're starting via a webinar, if you just want them to just get on the call, you're just having them do the easy work. Just bring me more leads here. The thing's already built. The program's already built. So all I just need you is to do A, B, C, and then we'll close the sale or whatever the case may be. Or if they're going to close the sale, but the actual program is already done. It's already done. And that's amazing. So as you're moving through Kennected, you built this business on multiple 7 figures. I want to talk to you about your next, the next plan. Like, when did you realize, okay, this is going smooth? I have an idea or another opportunity has arrived on my desk. Let me see what this is. So talk to me about how did the new business come along, right?
Yep.
And then when did you realize that it was possible for you to create some time and space to dive into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my whole goal with Kennected was just to build and partner with an awesome group of guys that could do everything from operations to sales to HR. So we could kind of have everything in-house. And, then once you have the systems and processes in place to scale one company, they're talented enough to where they can scale every other company after that, right? And so in that process, I was looking at other platforms that could be leveraged to actually talk about Kennected. I got invited to join Clubhouse, and I jumped on Clubhouse, and within 5 minutes of talking about Kennected, I think I booked like 17 appointments, right? And my mind was blown. I was like, man, the only thing better than having a strategy on Clubhouse would actually be to own that platform at the same time, or a platform like it. At the same time, there's a lot of cancel culture and censorship that's happening with big tech, right? There's a lot of people that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands of hours building a personal brand only to have it disappear one day when they wake up for no reason, or because they disagreed with somebody on the platform. And so I kind of married those two ideas together and said, well, what if we could create our own social media platform and, take the things that are working really well and then make them even better, right? And that was when I had that idea. It was actually on December 31st of 2020. It was on New Year's Eve. And so we started working on Breakout, and within 2 to 3 months later, I jumped on a plane. I flew over. I met with my dev team, and we had the entire platform created. So it's been a wild ride.
So what exactly is Breakout?
Yeah. So if you're familiar with Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces or Spotify Green Rooms, it's very similar to that. Where you have the ability to drop in and have audio conversations with friends or connections and meet new people. Maybe it's somebody completely random that jumps into a room that you connect with and have real-time conversations. The biggest difference with our platform is there's more social media aspects to it, to where it's not just coming to the platform and dropping into an audio conversation. You have the ability to create statuses, update people on what's going on in your life, even if you're not in a room. You have the ability to cash in on the activity and things that you're doing, because we have a tokenomics system built on the Breakout platform. There's a Facebook story, IG story-esque type of feature to where you can create audio shorts inside of the platform that expire after 24 hours. There's a lot more ways for content creators to monetize. So if you're in a room and you have it for 30, 45 minutes or whatever, you could actually have set that room to be recorded, and then you can post that conversation, because you never know who's going to jump in. You never know who you're going to talk to. Maybe you have some just golden nuggets that you want to post. So you can take that room and actually post it to your profile page, and then people can go back through and listen to it, and kind of like a YouTube channel type of thing.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. And there's the ability for content creators to create paid rooms. So maybe you build this awesome brand and you're jumping in rooms and you're doing them for free and you're collaborating on the platform, but there's certain information that you just don't want to give away for free because people will pay for it. So you can actually create a paid room and then set your price, and maybe you have 100 people that join that room for $100 a piece. Right. So there's $10,000 there. We actually do an 80-20 split, 80% going to the content creator that built the room for that 45 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever they have it at. And you're getting paid the same day. So lots of ways to monetize the platform.
So what type of entrepreneur would Breakout be perfect for? Or is it just for entrepreneurs? Is it for the casual social media user? Who would you say would be the specific demo for this social media platform?
Every single person, right? So think of, who's YouTube made for? It's made for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're into learning about cryptocurrency, you're trying to figure out how to build something, you're trying to get motivation, literally everything and beyond, whatever people want to talk about, whatever their hobbies are, whatever they're passionate about, they can come onto the platform and talk about it. We're agnostic, we're neutral. We don't have a political affiliation. We're not going to censor people for speaking this or speaking that, right? Like, all we want is to provide a place where people can come together and talk about whatever they want. Because I think progress only happens when you allow the freedom of open dialogue and discussion to take place, right? Like, I don't know everything, and I can't claim that I know everything. And the only way for me to learn more is if I allow my mind to be influenced, or at least hear other people out that have different worldviews and think differently. If I can hear them out and then make that judgment for myself, what I want to believe in, right? And so many times on these other platforms, and I'm not calling anybody out, I'm actually a huge fan of a lot of the people who have done really cool stuff in the tech space. But a lot of times on the major platforms, if you have an opposing viewpoint, if it doesn't go with their agenda, they'll just boot you. They'll kick you off, right? And so we want to be an uncensored, no cancel type of platform that allows everybody to have their voice be heard.
So where can people go to get access to Breakout? Is it in the app stores?
Yeah. So it's iOS and Android. It's both. If you go to Breakout space audio, so Breakout Audio, just type it in. You can download it, and then you're rocking and rolling in like 30 seconds.
Which company has been more fun to create? Obviously, you're creating in it's the early stages technically for Breakout. But how would you compare like the amount of fun you may be having with this business with how you felt with doing Kennected?
Yeah, I think both of them are equal, right? Like they're just different. They're different games altogether, right? So imagine you have a passion for football, and imagine you have a passion for baseball, right? Like, the game is different. It's a very different game from going from a B2B product and selling B2B, because you have those micro wins, right? Because you sell a bunch of software and it's like, okay, this is our sales for the day, versus Breakout is a longer term play. It's more of a macro type of game. And so both of them are equally fun, but they're two very different games. And I've learned so much in both. And I'm thankful for the partners in each of those companies.
So if someone is looking to build, because I think it's interesting, both the businesses that you're building, essentially, these are very they're scalable in the sense of you're not just building a clothing company. You know what I mean? You're not just coaching one-on-one. It seems like you've been very intentional about the businesses that you've been being a part of, and that these businesses are like businesses that can be really large entities. So what would you say in terms of choosing the type of business to go to actually start or be a part of, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they may just look at, hey, I just need to build this product thing. They're not looking at a larger scale, whether it's with their main business or something that they may want to get a part of. So what was the mindset for you, being a part of these software type and app companies?
Yeah, there's two kind of schools of thought on this. The first school of thought is do something that you're passionate about, right? No matter what it is, if you're doing something you're passionate about, you'll love it and you'll have a great time. Yeah, I agree that you should do something you're passionate about, but I think that's also a timing thing, right? I think in the beginning, as an entrepreneur, you can do the things you're passionate about as a side hustle, right? You can do the things you're passionate about as a hobby, because that's going to bring a lot of joy to your life. For me, and I can't speak for everybody, I can only speak for myself, but for me, I had to choose something that was the lowest hanging fruit in terms of what are the types of connections and people that I currently have in my sphere of influence and close to me in proximity that can help me get something off of the ground, right? And because I was in the digital marketing world, because I was already working with a lot of B2B companies, because I already had a Rolodex of people that I knew could help me grow Connected, I chose to get into the software game, right? And then because I, through Connected, had developed a ton of relationships in terms of development, in terms of people that could actually help me get this thing to the next level, and so on and so forth. Like building a social media platform made sense because I had the right people that I knew I could get involved with it. So for me, it's all about who in your current proximity can you bring and get involved, and what type of industry can you go in that they're going to be able to help add the most value to, right? And especially for the young entrepreneurs out there, maybe they're in their early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, you have a lot of time. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot. You have time that you can get to the things that you're super passionate about and enjoy doing. But so many people forget that in order to like have the ability and resources to do the certain things that you want to do later on in life, you have to build wealth. Like you have to figure out how you're not sacrificing your time to build somebody else's dream. You're making those sacrifices now. So am I passionate about software and things of that nature? No. Am I passionate about bringing people together and building a community and helping restore things that have been broken? Yes. So that's my answer, I guess. I hope that's good.
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. One of the things you talked about is sphere of influence. So for those that are watching, those that are listening, that may not have one or may not exactly know what a sphere of influence is, would you mind just kind of touching on that? Like if someone was looking like to start something right now, like, you know what, this is going to be the beginning of my sphere of influence. What is it and how could they start one?
Yeah, and kind of a little bit of background on me. I had no connections. I had no money. I had no connections. At one point, I had $1. I had $8. I went and bought a Little Caesars pizza. So after I bought that pizza and a Mountain Dew, I had $1, a Little Caesars pizza, and a Mountain Dew. That was it. And I had absolutely no connections. I didn't know how I had these crazy dreams, but I didn't know how I was actually going to achieve them, right? But the one thing that I did have was a heart to serve other people, right? And so I went on this mission to find people who were already in a position that I wanted to be in. And I asked them, what can I do for you? I don't want to get paid for it. I don't know, like, what can I do? It doesn't matter. I'll take out your trash. It really doesn't matter. I just want to be in proximity and learn from you. And if you can get over the fear of having that conversation with people who are already where you want to be, maybe the first 2 or 3 people you ask don't care and they just kind of shoo you off. That's okay. But if you keep asking, eventually you're going to find somebody that steps into your life and mentors you. Every successful person I have ever met has a mentor. And that person has a mentor and that person has a mentor, right? Like it's all about, if you want to find success, it's all about being able to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Like if you want to look farther, go farther, do more, you got to find somebody that's going to allow you to stand on their shoulders and always give that credit back to that person, right? So find a mentor, find people that you can just serve and add as much value as you can, and everything else will just naturally happen.
I 100% agree with you. And I just want to add, like, because some people think that you just need one mentor. And I don't think you need one mentor. You can have mentor for several different aspects in your life. You can even have two or three different mentors in the same category because you can get information from all of them. But to your point, if you have that proximity and you're serving, you're able to tap into people that are exactly where you want, where you see yourself being in a couple of years or whatever the case may be. Receive that information, and then implement it and execute on that information.
If you're a coach, consultant, expert, or specialist, there's only 3 things that you need to take you from where you are right now to where you want to go. And those 3 things are this: a roadmap, consistency, and the right coaching. So if you're coachable, if you can follow a roadmap, if you're ready to be consistent, I invite you to jump on a call with me or someone from my team, and we can lay out the play to get you from where you are now to where you want to go. But I'm going to be honest. Not everyone is ready. This system isn't for everyone. This is only for someone who is ready and willing to be committed, who can follow a roadmap, and who is coachable. So if that someone is you, I invite you to jump on a strategy call with me or someone from my team. We'll lay everything out for you. All right? My name is Brendan Boyd, and I'll see you on the other side.
So somebody asked me the other day, they were like, Brendan, I see you moving. I see a lot of things that you're doing. And it seems like you don't even sleep and you're always doing something. You know, where you get your drive and determination? And I was just like, I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. I'm very clear on my vision, and I know where I'm going. So like it wakes me up and it motivates me. But at some point I had to get that feeling, and that's what drives me. So for you, was it a certain time in your life that you can pinpoint that the light bulb went on or the switch clicked that then kind of had you start moving, you know, a little further and closer to your purpose? Like, what was it that may have ignited the flame within you?
Yeah, there's probably half a dozen or a dozen of those light bulb moments for me. It's like I constantly kept getting reminded I didn't want to be in the position I was in. I'll share one with you. I remember I was trying to make a little extra money, and a friend of mine had asked me if I wanted to clean out a crawl space, right? And I was doing all kinds of just, you know, kind of dead end jobs at the time. I was digging ditches. I was doing manual labor. I was doing this. I was doing that. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'll make a couple extra $100. Where'd I go? So I remember I went to this house in Indianapolis. It was out on the west side. It was like 9-10 o'clock at night. It had been like raining. It was cold outside. I had like a little flashlight, and my job was to crawl underneath this crawl space and like take all the debris that was underneath that crawl space and put it in a trash bag, and then like pull it out and then rinse and repeat and do that same process for like 8 hours. Right. And I was all by myself. There was literally nobody there. And I just remember being at this like abandoned home underneath this crawl space with this trash bag, like doing all this work. And I'm like, man, like, what if I have to do this the rest of my life? Like there has to be a better way. Right. And so that's really when I started kind of thinking to myself, like, you know, I don't know everything, and I'm not the smartest guy out there by any means, but I do have enough drive to where I want to figure out my situation and start using this instead of my back. So that was one of those moments. I hope that helps.
That crawl space sounds crazy, man.
Yeah, it was rough, bro. It was
8 hours in that crawl space sounds crazy.
Yeah, it was rough, dude. It was horrible.
So talk to me about navigating entrepreneurship, you know, with a family, balancing the responsibilities in your personal life with the responsibilities, you know, as an entrepreneur and as a business person. You know, what's the mindset with being able to do things and being able to do both at a high level?
Yeah, great question. I think it comes down to communication. You got to be able to communicate really well with your significant other, right? So, you know, when my wife and I first met, it was, hey, these are the dreams that I have. These are the ambitions that I have. Like, this is what you're signing up for, but I'll promise you that I'll figure it out. Right. And I'll put everything I have into this. And if you can support that, then, you know, like I'll make it work. And it comes down to finding the right person, because not everybody's going to have that type of patience. Right. And that's just part of it. Like if you have this internal drive to do something big, there's got to be big sacrifices that come with that. And that means the people that are in your inner circle, especially your significant other, they're going to have to sacrifice a lot as well. So a lot of times people meet one another, right? And they go through this honeymoon phase, and then all of a sudden this ambition or drive comes out from one of them and the other person can't handle it. So it's really important at the start, at the very beginning, you're communicating and you're setting the expectation so the other person doesn't get hurt. Now, kind of going into this season here, like I'm it's a busy season and I'm on the road sometimes 2-3 weeks. I try to bring my family with me as much as I can, right? Like I try to make sure I got a little boy, he's 2 years old. I try to make sure like I'm spending enough time with them as I need to, because those are things you can never get back. Going back to time again, there's nothing more valuable than time. And, I don't want to grind out for the next 5, 10, 15 years and look back and wish that I was able to go back in time and relive these moments. So it's also about being very much in the moment. Like when you finish work in the evening, that means work is finished, right? Like if you commit to your significant other, hey, 6:00, my laptop goes down and I'm done for the night, or 6:37, whatever that is, then you honor that, right? And it doesn't matter who's calling you. It doesn't matter. Like you just have to prioritize the things that mean the most to you and then honor those things.
So you mentioned, which I thought was very impactful. You had that conversation in the early stage. So if someone's feeling, someone's feeling exactly what you're saying, they have that moment, maybe they just met somebody or maybe something's new. How early in a process do you think you should have that type of a conversation with, a potential person that you're looking to be with?
Yeah, immediately. And I think it's a good icebreaker too, right? Because I got a lot of guys that work for me that are in their early 20s and they're just, they're going out on 2 or 3 dates a week, and they're sometimes they ask for advice and stuff. And I don't know if I give good advice or not, but a great icebreaker question is like, tell me about where you want to be at in 5 or 10 years. Like, what do you want to do with your life? What are the things that you're passionate about? And when that person shares that with you, then it gives you the opportunity to share it with them, right? Like in business, for example, one of the not fun things is letting people go, right? Like I hate that. If something doesn't work out, you got to unfortunately let somebody go if they're not meeting standards. One of the principles I live by is hire slow, fire fast, right? Hire slow, fire fast. And I think that can be applied to dating as well, right? Like you got to go through this process and make sure this person is the right person. But as soon as something that is super important to you, if you can see from the very beginning that that's not going to vibe very well with them, then you're doing that person a disservice by just like playing games with them and trying to be somebody who you're actually not in that honeymoon season. And that's what happens a lot. I feel like a lot of guys and a lot of girls, they put on this act of this is who I am. And in reality, they have a completely different heart behind the scenes that's going to eventually come out, right? So be transparent, be authentic, tell people from the jump, let them know who you are. And if they can't deal with that, then they're obviously not the right person for you.
Yo, you just gave a gem right there, man. I mean, you've been giving them all throughout the whole episode, man. But that one, I feel like that one was really major, especially like, correlating the hiring slow with the firing fast in your personal life, because, sometimes that's a hard thing for people to do, break up or get out of a situation, wanting to let someone down or whatever the case may be. But like you said, as soon as you identify and realize that this isn't something that's going to fit, it's better to kind of like, get rid of it, break it off as soon as you can so you can continue to do what you need to do and maybe find someone that does make sense for you.
Absolutely. 100%, bro.
So what are some of the strategies? What do you tap into to keep your mind right? Are you hitting conferences? Are you reading programs, masterminds, yacht clubs, VIP situations, Soho House? What are some of the things that you are involved in to keep you centered, to keep your mindset leveling up? What are some of the things you got going on?
Yeah, bro. Great question. What you put in is what you get out, period. Right? What you feed yourself is what you're going to eventually create in terms of your reality. I'm a huge reader, right? It's like I'm always reading. Here's a book right here I'm reading. It's a New York Times bestseller called Essentialism. Another book that I'm reading right now, it's called The Art of the Advantage, right? So I'm a huge reader, always trying to put new information. The way I look at it is your mind is like a computer, and it has an unlimited capacity of ability to download new information, right? So whether you're getting that from books or Audible or podcasts or whatever it is, you need to be feeding your mind things so that you can grow. And you need to be putting yourself, going back to proximity, you need to be putting yourself in front of people that can give you real-time advice, right? So going to networking events, finding out what's new. The definition of management is anticipation. And the only way that you can anticipate things if you're finding yourself in certain rooms. They say the most powerful weapon in any business is information, right? If you look at the people who make the most money in the stock market, it's not the best traders in the world. It's the people that get the information the fastest and understand the markets the fastest, right? The same is true in business. If you want to have your business be able to adapt and evolve, you have to constantly be giving it new information, and you've got to constantly be putting yourself in proximity to people that, can give you real-time advice. So books, networking events, podcasts, all of the above. And, I had a friend, a long time ago, he said something that always stood with me. I don't remember how we got on the topic, but he said when he decided that he wanted to marry his wife, a lot of people asked him, they said, hey, do you ever think you'll struggle with settling down? Like a lot of his buddies said, do you ever think you'll struggle with settling down with one woman? I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of girls throughout the rest of your life you're going to have to say no to. And his answer was, all I have to do is say yes one time, because the right yes eliminates all the other no's that I have to say, right? And so the way that I think about that in terms of business is I have one goal, and that's to grow, right? My one goal that I have is to grow. So it helps me eliminate every other activity in my life that is counterproductive to that one goal, right? So if I'm so focused on growing, I'm so focused on learning new information, I don't have time to watch television that I shouldn't be wasting my time on. I don't have time to listen to garbage trash music that's filling my mind up with stuff I don't want it filled up with. I don't have time to go out and do things that I know I shouldn't be doing because I'm so focused on that growth, right? And so I hope that answers what you asked.
No, that again, another gem right there. Definitely a powerful answer to the question, I would say. All right, so let's talk about investments a little bit. So outside of the businesses that you're currently operating in, what are some of the investments that you are involved in? Are we talking crypto, NFT, stocks, real estate, digital spaces? What are some of the things that you're involved in?
Yeah, I think, you got to have a portfolio that has both high risk and low risk, right? Like real estate, if you know how to play that game, is one of the best investments you can ever make in your life. I got into real estate last year. The very first transaction I ever did was a success. It's a safe transaction because you're buying an asset, right? Once again, really important to get mentored by the right types of people and figure out how you can maximize earnings in that space. But I would say for the younger audience that's watching this, cryptocurrency is probably your best bet, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out in a few years. But blockchain technology is what the internet was in the 90s right now, right? Like that we haven't even hit critical mass. Not everybody on the planet, it seems like everybody on the planet, if you're in the cryptocurrency space or blockchain space, knows about it, but more people than not don't know about blockchain, and they haven't adapted to it yet. So you're going to see mass adoption happen. And you have incredible projects like, Ethereum. I don't know how you could go wrong with investing into Ethereum. I don't know how you could go wrong with investing into Bitcoin, even though the utility might not necessarily be there like Ethereum. There's only 21 million coins. Bitcoin's not going to go anywhere. I don't know how you could go wrong with investing into XRP, assuming that the SEC and all that stuff gets resolved with them. HBAR, Hedera is another good pick that I would tell people to put money into. So the key with crypto is not getting scammed, because there's a ton of scams out there, right? If any of you guys are on like PooCoin charts, which is it's a platform that you can trade. Long story short, like don't invest into projects like meme coins. That's my biggest advice. Like there's probably a lot of Shiba holders out there and stuff, which that's cool. But if you want to have the highest chance of not having the rug pulled out from underneath you, invest into projects that have good teams and good utility, and we're here for the long term, that other projects and applications are building their ecosystems on top of. That's why Ethereum is such a good investment, because so many other companies are using their platform to scale, right? So cryptocurrency is huge. I think that you'll see a 2 to 3 to 10 to 20x in the next 4 to 8 years.
I would agree with that. I think basically the things that you're saying make sense. And then you're obviously mentioning coins that that at this point they're pretty stable, and they're kind of staple if you're into cryptocurrency. Like you have known or heard of the coins that you mentioned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we're kind of moving towards Web3 and the metaverse. So what's your feelings on that? How's that's going to affect business, opportunity there, investments there, just lifestyle? What would you say to what you're learning about Web3 and the metaverse?
I think it's going to change the game. I've been saying that since 2018. I was invited to a conference that was held over in Tokyo, and I remember in the entrance going into the conference, they had a virtual reality entire room set up, and you could go in and hook up the goggles, put the belt around you, so you could actually move in the space. And one of the things that they were talking about was selling advertising and real estate inside of this virtual world, right? So imagine all of the advertisements on Times Square, how expensive that is. But imagine being able to create a virtual world where the same amount of people are in this virtual world, but they're looking at a completely blank Times Square in terms of advertising. And that was one of their pitches, was this is the way things are heading. So I really kind of started diving into what that looked like. And it's so cool to kind of see that now we're starting to arrive there. I think it's going to change the game. I think in the next 10 to 15 years, people will probably spend more time in the metaverse than they actually do the physical verse, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be wild, man. Technology is only getting better and better and faster and faster. And the cool thing about technology is when you create technology, you kind of have your foundation layer. And now you have the ability to create better technology on top of that foundation layer. And then once you do that, you have the ability to create even better, faster technology on top of that, until eventually you have no idea how fast you can scale technology and what type of place that we can get to as a human race. Anyways, I think the metaverse is here to stay, and I think it's going to blow our minds in the next 10 years.
I would 100% agree with you. I'm definitely happy that that you responded in the manner that you did for those that are listening, that are watching, so they can kind of dig in a little bit deeper. If they're not, it's definitely something that you need to be aware of, or at least research, so you start to become more aware of it. So yeah, that's amazing right there. All right, man. So look, we're about to wrap up this episode. I got a bunch of new rapid fire questions I want to throw at you. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you're ready. Up until now, man, you gave us a lot of value. This episode is packed with a lot of gems. So if you just came on later, or if you made it this far, you definitely probably need to go back and catch everything that Cody said, because he definitely laid out a lot of stuff, from software to tech to scaling a multi-7-figure business. Just in general, we're just growing as an entrepreneur. So with that being said, man, are you ready for these questions?
Let's get it.
All right. Number one, if Cody was building a school, if you were building a school, what are the most important principles that would be in this school? Name 3. What are 3 things that people need to learn at your school?
That's a good one. Everybody is equal. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail.
That's a major one right there. That's a major.
Yep. And you get to choose what you want to learn.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So no forced curriculum.
No forced curriculum.
Yep. All right. Those are good. Those are good. You had to think a little bit.
Yeah. You got me, bro.
All right. Number 2, what is inner fulfillment for you?
Travel.
Okay.
I love travel because I love going new places and experiencing new culture, because it always gives me a different perspective and a different worldview.
That's major. I would agree. I was actually at the gym today, and I was thinking about that because I was listening to a podcast of Nehemiah Davis, who was on Sleepers for Suckers. And he was talking about, at that point during the podcast, he had traveled to about 55 countries. He said he goes there for the experiences because obviously he can take his family along, but he's able to expand his mind and then obviously bring those experiences back to pour them into his people, clients, consumers. And obviously you'll get a whole experience that you can't compare to if you just bought a tangible item. So I thought that was crazy, and I would agree with you with that. I think that's a good answer. Number 3, how would you define emotional intelligence?
Yeah, EQ. I think emotional intelligence is the ability to be able to read both a person and a room simultaneously, right? Social awareness, being able to be socially aware of how people are kind of understanding the environment that they're currently in and how you're coming across to that person.
That's major too. So you got to have not only along you have that emotional intelligence, but you also have a high level of self-awareness.
Yep. Exactly.
Like you said, simultaneously right there. All right. And the last one, this one's not too bad. You kind of already alluded to this a little bit. But you can add a little bit more if you want. What are 3 books that you currently recommend? Early in the pod, you mentioned 2. So you can re-mention those, or if there's some other books that you feel like are vital for our listeners to tap into, what would be at least 3 books that you would recommend?
Number 1, The Art of War. Tons of principles and strategies that were created for how to win a battle and how to win a war, but they can all be applied to business as well. Number 2, I would say if for men, I think his name is John Eldridge, but he has a book called Wild at Heart. I think it's a phenomenal book. Wild at Heart. It's absolutely incredible. And number 3, let me pick a good one for you. I'll tell you what. Let's pick. I'm going to go with the Bible, but specifically Proverbs. I'm going to go with Proverbs in the Bible because there's so much wisdom inside of that, right? And I believe that if you can stick to, following those rules in your life, man, you'll find so much joy, so much happiness. You'll avoid so much heartache and headache. You'll make things so much easier for yourself. With going down the road of entrepreneurship, one of the number 1 pieces of advice I would give somebody is learn what not to do. Right? Like you'll figure out what to do, but learn what not to do. And the way you do that is you create guardrails in your life. You create things like if you go to the bowling alley and you throw a ball down the lane or whatever, and you have bumpers, right? Those bumpers are there to keep your ball from going into the gutter. Well, have bumpers in your life so your life doesn't go into the gutter, right? Because that happens to so many people. And money and success and fame and the things that come with growing a business a lot of times that stuff will actually highlight and maximize whatever's like in your heart, right? Like, so if you're a naturally giving person, if you're going to make more money, you're naturally going to give a lot. If you're a naturally greedy person, the more money you make, you're not going to give a lot. You're going to give less probably, right? Because you want to hold on to it and all other types of things in your life. So I would say the book of Proverbs for me has given me really, really, really awesome guardrails. And I tried to live by that book.
That's a sleeper, even though the Bible is like worldwide. That's a worldwide, like international bestseller if we want to really, look at it like that. But that's a sleepy one because I feel like a lot of people, would not go to the Bible as a reference, for something that would be powerful, not only in the personal, but in business. But you mentioned that. So you actually reminded me about this one, which is pretty good. This is some heat right here. But obviously, a lot of those gems are derived directly from the Bible. So I just wanted to throw that up. And for those that didn't see, because you actually listened to it, it's Business Secrets from the Bible. So that's the bonus book there. And I gotta ask you one more question because you made me think of it. So I'm just throwing you a bonus. Yeah. You're getting something special. Yeah. So what do you do in the morning when you first open your eyes? You're getting ready for your day. What does your morning routine look like?
The very first thing I do, man, is I try to remember to thank God that I get another at bat. Right? I try to have gratitude. I spend the first 5, 10, 15 minutes just trying to be as thankful as I can that I get another day, right? Because you can have everything going for you and all of a sudden your time's up. None of us know when our time is going to be up, but we all know that eventually one day it will be up, right? I can't remember the number. I think it's like 150,000 people or something like that die every day, right?
Yeah, when you look, that sounds crazy. When you look, we sound like that.
Exactly. 150,000 people today did not get to experience today, right? And so just being able to live, man, like that's the lottery for me. Like being able to live, be around people I care about, experience life. You can't take that for granted. And you could take everything away from me. You could take the business away from me. You could take away what little success I've had. You could take away everything. But if I get to wake up tomorrow, right? Like, dude, Brad Lee, right? Brad Lee is awesome. For those people who don't know Brad Lee, I've got to know him pretty well. He talks about, hey, man, if I wrote you a check for $10 million, how excited would you be? Dude, I'd be so excited. Like, that would be awesome. He's like, well, if I wrote you a check for $10 million and I told you it's yours, but tomorrow morning you're not going to wake up, how excited would you be? Well, I wouldn't be excited at all. Well, why not? You just told yourself subconsciously in that process that waking up tomorrow morning is more important than getting a $10 million check. But because we do it every day and because it's been the norm since the day that we were born, we take it for granted. We take advantage of it, right? So in my morning, man, I try to wake up. I try to be as thankful as I can. I try to drink water as fast as I can just to get my system flushed out. I try to have a decent breakfast. I try to work out. I try not to have too much phone time or tech time. I try to get my head into something that's going to add value to it, like a book or listening to a podcast. And I try to carve out like the first hour to 2 hours of my morning of just trying to be better. And I typically don't even start my day until about, I would say 8:30, 9 a.m. Because I think starting my day off with like gratitude and self-development is more important than anything else I'm going to do throughout the day.
I 100% would agree, man. One last thing that you touched on, you were talking about the amount of people that pass away per day. It reminded me to interview that I saw with Jerry Itzler, and he was talking about how important, like the people in his life is. And as you get older, the average life expectancy for, a male or a female really start to kick in. So he's like, he's in his 50s now. He's like, yo, I may only have 30 summers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when he said that, I'm like, yo, that's crazy when you really think about it. We may only have 10, 20, 30 summers. So it's like every day really matters. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Yeah. Kind of just support what you were saying earlier about what Brad Lee had mentioned, waking up and just like having gratitude, like you mentioned, just for the day and being able to have another at bat, man.
100%. And anything that gets thrown at you after that, bro, it doesn't matter. It just slides right off. You'd have the worst phone call in the world. Somebody calls and gets mad at you or whatever. It's like, all right, like I'm already in a headspace where I'm so grateful. Whatever you throw at me doesn't matter. So,
well, again, I 100%, man, agree with you. So look, you provided a lot of value today. I really, really appreciate you being on the podcast and being on this episode. I'm grateful and thankful to have you here. I look forward to connecting again. First of all, where can they find you? And what do you want to leave us with? If there's something that, you want to let the people know that you have going on, I know you want to definitely get them into Breakout, but where can they find you and what do you want to leave us with?
Yeah. So all of my social media handles, Instagram, everything is at Cody Harvey _. So I think I put it right there at Cody Harvey _ on all my social handles. And I would say, the one thing I would leave you guys with is it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. Don't anybody tell you that because of whatever background, education, don't let somebody else tell you that you're not qualified for the dreams that God has already qualified you for. How about that?
That was heat. That was heat right there.
I love it. Dude, Brendan, you're a champ, bro. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Yo, man, it was amazing, man. All right, guys. So look, Cody just stopped by. Make sure that you follow up with him. Check him out on all his social platforms. Cody Harvey _. Make sure you guys tap into Breakout. And you might have to play this back or watch this again because he just dropped a bunch of value. there's like a whole downloadable guide just from your episode. You know what I'm saying? That it could be utilized to get some leads.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I can't wait to watch it.
If you're someone looking to level up in your personal life and also in your business, what if I told you there's only 2 things that you really need to focus on? Number 1 is your routines. If you knock down your routine each and every day, you're gonna be further along in your personal life. The other thing is your rituals. If you knock down your rituals each and every day, you're gonna be further along in your business life. And what if I told you you don't have to do this all by yourself? You can be part of an impactful group that's looking to level you up and support you along your journey. What's in the group? Let me give it a sauce. I'm talking about a daily tracker to make sure you stay on point. We read books that impact your life in real time. You get access to a group community where we're there to support one another. And there's 2 group coaching sessions each and every month. And guess what? It's only $1 for 7 days, so you can try it out. And then after that, it's $89 a month. All this value. So click the link below, get in a group. Let's level up your life. Let's level up your business. Let's go to the next level.